You're listening to 90.1 FM WEFT Champaign. I'm your girl Renee Angela, and I am in the studio here with David Wolf, and we're going to be talking about something that is very real to all of us. I don't think there's a person on the planet who has not felt this emotion or feeling at some point in their life. You know, we all learn how to regulate sometimes. And sometimes we don't, but some of us have more of it than others, but it's still a real feeling and emotion. Welcome, David Wolf. How are you?
I am tickled to death, as my father used to say.
Oh, well, that is
Just
a
to be
great
here.
thing, and I am tickled to death to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in, especially so early in the morning. Not everybody gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning like I do. So, and to be in the studio at, 6 o'clock. But there are those of us who do it. We have a wonderful lineup of wonderful volunteers who do get up and come in the studio at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, and some come at midnight. And so that's this beauty of the WEFT community. That's the beauty of the community. So thank you for coming in and arriving. We're going to just delve right in here. We're going to get on to some subjects, but first of all, I just want you to tell the listeners a little bit of background about yourself and your work.
Okay, my work, oh boy. I'll stay with my work for now.
Okay.
When in my 30s, I chose to become a counselor.
Okay.
I finally finished my bachelor's, and then I went into my master's program. I decided to do community counseling,
Okay.
and I also, at the same time, I wanted to learn how to dance and to learn how to do massage.
Okay.
So I learned to do those three things at
All
the same time.
simultaneously. Okay.
And around that time in my life is when I was, okay, now I'm already going into personal, which is what I do, but
That's all right. That's all right.
even a few years before that, when in my early 30s, is when I came to understand my own anger and to experience it and to experience it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of not knowing what I was doing and saying that I was a bad person, that I felt it, I even felt anger, which is what I was taught when I was young. No one told me that, but that's what I learned somehow.
Okay.
And then when I got into my master's program, then I began to learn how to feel it, just to feel it,
Mm-hmm.
and to be okay feeling it. And I'm still, 30 years later, I'm still practicing ways of expressing it and letting it out without hurting anybody, including my finger, for example, which I really cut the other day because I was very frustrated.
Okay.
So, so being a body worker and a mental health seeker and a healer, a facilitator, call it facilitation. Putting them together, I always wanted them to put them together. So that's sort of a nutshell of where I come from.
All right.
And where I'm still going.
All right. We're still learning and growing and evolving, so that's always a great thing. You talked about anger, and that's the subject that we're going to be discussing right now. So what is your definition of anger as you have grown and evolved in this feeling or emotion, as you've learned new things? How would you define anger?
Anger is just an emotion. That's all it is. I mean, well, it's a big body, whole body energy. So sometimes we have a lot of energy in our hands or our jaw or our legs, but it's our whole body energy. And it's a natural response to some event. You know, something happens around us or to our bodies or to our minds, and we naturally get angry.
Would it be more likely like a traumatic situation?
No,
or
it could be a small thing, it could be a big thing. Like when I cut my finger the other day, I was frustrated because this can opener and this can would not cooperate with me.
Okay.
And before I cut my finger, I growled and I yelled at the can in the can opener. And I said, now this is kind of weird, I know. What I said was, and who's going to be punished? And 20 seconds later, I punished myself. So this is not a good example
That's
or a very healthy
interesting.
way of expressing anger.
Mhm.
But I did it just 2 days ago. And my finger is beginning to heal. So that's an example of a not very healthy way of expressing anger.
Right.
But anger itself is not a bad thing, period. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, in my body, that anger is just part of having a body and a mind.
So as a human experience, do you feel that anger is part of this human experience as a being?
As a human being,
in a physical,
as a mammal, as a whatever. Being a spirit also, because I believe that all emotions, and several people I've read their books, they talk about all emotion. They are messages between the body and the soul.
Okay.
And there's another word to describe what is the soul.
Yes, because a lot of people, there's some people who equate soul and spirit as the same. There's some people who differentiate between soul and spirit. So in your learning, in your training, in your developing, which do you kind of gravitate more? Does the soul and the spirit being one, or do you even think?
Well, I don't see much difference. They're just two different words. I use the word soul more often, but spirit is pretty much the same thing. I don't see any difference really.
Okay.
I could be debatable, of course.
Right. Well, I think it has been debatable, the difference between soul and the difference between spirit, and in the hierarchies of where it's been religion, whether it's been metaphysics, and all of those different modalities.
I wanted to honor something before you asked me about anger immediately. I wanted to just talk about the music
Okay.
that you've been playing.
Oh, okay.
Now, when people dance, their whole bodies are moving, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, the more their body's allowed to move, the healthier that body is, and the mind.
Yes.
And when I was really young, I was in my 20s, when I first listened to rock and roll, and I had roommates, I thought rock and roll wasn't very angry music. And now I think, well, maybe, so what? But it's so full of joy, and it's a way of expressing the anger, if it's anger. I mean, it's not always anger, but it's just passion too. It's just the desire to move and to be powerful in your body, and that's where anger comes from. That's why we have anger.
I was just about to get to that space, because I know that sometimes when I've been the most passionate is when I've gotten angry, and so that may not be very healthy, but I know that it usually gets me moving in some point. So when I was younger, which would have been in the 80s, and we had that loud rock, metal rock, and it just, to our parents, just felt like a whole, bunch of noise. But we were like, gang banging, or not gang banging, but we were doing all of this movement, whether it was the break dancing, whether it was and I can't think of it, Tammy, help me out if you can think of that and text me. But what the headbangers did, jumping into the crowds and all that kind of stuff. But and I can't think of what actually it was called at that point. But for us, it was like this release of all of this energy that we had. And I don't see that much anymore. And so it may be construed as anger, or construed as having a fit, but it was actually this kind of release kind of a thing. So, do you think that a lot of passion comes from that kind of anger place, or sensory?
It's hard to say. I mean, passion means a lot of things. Passion means this is strong desire to do something, or to have something, or to feel something. And anger has a lot of energy to change something. The anger, the whole anger is a natural goal. The goal for anger is to change something that doesn't feel, that feels wrong.
Okay.
If it's a physical pain or a mental pain or emotional pain or life situation. And that's why we're so mad at this can. Because this gosh darn can opener were not doing their jobs.
Yeah.
And so I was mad at them, and then so anyway.
I thought it was dope, but very interesting that you said, now who's going to be punished?
Right.
And within 20 seconds, the
punished
universe,
me.
yes, the
Yeah.
universe answered it. So that was, I think that's very interesting. I was talking with some friends of mine in the last couple of days, and I was talking about how a lot of times I'm driven by these questions. And then, so once I get that question out of my mouth, then the solution, the answer just comes and floods me. So I've had this a couple times in my life. The first time was when I was having problems with the school system in response to my daughter. And I remember just being in my house, and I was so upset and so frustrated. And yes, I would even say angry at points. And I remember just yelling out, and I said, "You're gonna tell me the truth," and just yelling it out to the universe. And within 30 days, I swear, I got flooded by everything. And at the time, when I said the words, "You're gonna tell me the truth," saying it to God, to the higher source, the universe, whatever we choose to call it. At that point, I was saying, "You're gonna tell me the truth." In my mind, I was thinking, "You're going to tell me the truth about what's going on with the schools, why they're doing this to my daughter, why have they targeted my kid." But by not articulating those specific words of saying, "You're going to tell me the truth about what the schools are doing," I just said, "I want the truth." And I just got flooded. Books started coming on all of these higher evolutionary thoughts. So I did get the truth about what the school system was doing, but I also got this universal truth that just came flooding to me. So I was thinking about how, when that passion comes out and you ask that question and the answer comes so very quickly. So whether it's in the anger or whether it's just, that drive, like you said, that desire, that strong desire to wanting to know the answer to, and that's one of the things that I'm learning in this time period, is that just sometimes asking the question. And I do just want to take a pause. The name of the dance is thrashing. Thank you, Tammy Hines. That's right. Tammy is my rock and roll person, host of Monday Night R&R. So 8 to 10 on Monday nights on WEF. So thank you, Tammy. I just had to, sidebar that. But anyway, yeah. So I'm learning about these questions, and I think that when you're angry or frustrated, I think sometimes people don't know how to articulate the question to receive that answer to what is frustrating them in that body, and so the emotion just comes out, this anger or whatever, and sometimes it's directed at something or someone, because all you're just wanting the answer to the question, why is this not working right? This was supposed to be working right, it's not working right, why is it not working right? Okay, now who's going to suffer for this? So I just love that you asked that question. All right, now who's going to get punished over this? Okay, well, and the universe answered. So that's interesting. You were saying that anger is an emotion, but it's something also that you feel.
Your whole body.
Your
feels
whole
it,
body
or some
feels
part of your body, if not your whole body.
Yes, and so is there any distinguishing factors between that anger, emotion, and then that feeling in the body? Do you think there's a difference when you've experienced it yourself? Has it just been, okay, here I'm just angry, I don't know why I'm angry, and then, oh, but I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it in my bones, or I'm feeling it in my cells? And
Well, that's a great question, because usually, since I've been practicing for 30 years, or looking into the mirror and asking myself, how am I feeling, and why do I feel this? I usually have a pretty good answer, a pretty good reason to understand why I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I think, a lot of people do not. They don't really know why they're mad, or they're not even aware that they're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me, I wanted to bring up a sort of a general big idea about anger.
Okay.
And people talk about righteous anger.
I didn't know there was a such thing as righteous anger.
You've heard the words though, right?
I've heard righteous and I've heard anger. I've never heard them together.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so please enlighten me on righteous anger.
Usually when people talk about being mad at the school system, for example, or the government or another country, the way they treat their citizens, for example, they say that righteous anger. And I don't disagree. But I also want to say, I think it just seems clear to me that most of us, if not everybody on the planet, probably, we don't want to feel anger in our intimate relationships, for example, like our neighborhoods,
Yes.
our neighbors, or
Our
our
community,
spouses,
or-
or our
yeah.
children, because I believe we've been taught, and a lot of people say, people write a lot of books, that anger is not good.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I say, well, it doesn't look pretty, that's for sure. When we feel it, it doesn't feel pretty, it doesn't feel nice,
No.
but it feels strong. And
And
So-
powerful.
Right,
Sometimes.
right.
Very powerful.
which is one of the reasons we're scared of it. That's one of the reasons. The
Okay.
other reason is that because often anger is expressed with violence. And it's not the same thing. Violence violence is a physical way of expressing anger by hurting somebody else, or hurting yourself, like with my finger. I was violent to myself.
Mm-hmm.
But the anger itself would have been fine if I don't know, if I done some thrashing, for example, if I had danced the night before, or if I just took a deep breath and just growled or something instead of trying to open this can with my fingers, which was kind of dumb. Or say, for example, in a relationship, you live with somebody and you get irritated because of the way they don't wash their hands, or
Right.
the way they don't flush the toilet, or don't wash the dishes, or wash them not the way you want them to wash them.
Yes.
These are kind of silly, but they're down to earth, natural, almost universal irritations. This is when we get angry, period. It's just natural. It's not, and we think, our society, maybe the whole planet, most of us, think that to not feel anger is more spiritually evolved. And I don't
Okay.
totally disagree, but as long as you're in a body, you're gonna be irritated. You're gonna feel irritated by someone you live with.
Yes.
And if it's some of it's about our egos, yes, it's about our egos, yeah, because, well, why don't you just leave me alone, Don't tell me how to wash my fingers, or the dishes, or whatever.
Right.
So I analyze my own anger all the time, or my frustration, or my sadness, or whatever, but to accept the fact that I am irritated, and I'm still afraid, for example, to express my anger to my roommates. A little more confident, is that the word? To just say something.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we could go anyway.
I know.
Anyway, here's an example. This was an example of a blend of my righteous anger in an institutional setting,
Okay.
but it was also very personal. My wife and I had taken a child in our home for about a year. He was incredibly unhappy child, and he pushed all our buttons that I thought all my buttons were disengaged, but they were there again. Anyway, after a year, this boy started to trust us, and I had a stroke. So the children, family service
Okay.
people,
Yeah.
they took him away from us with no warning,
Oh,
no
wow.
planning that we knew of at all.
Okay.
I was so angry. I was in a meeting. My wife was there too, and they're like, 9 other people. And I raised my voice at her. I didn't cuss. I know I said something. I was pretty loud. And the other person who, I guess she was like the case manager, and she raised her, she said, "Don't you yell at me. Don't raise your voice to me," she said. So obviously, I raised my voice and she raised hers. So we were both very angry.
Okay.
So there's an example of where the institutional righteous type of anger came into personal.
Yeah.
It was so personal to me, you know, that we put so much
Time and
into our
effort.
time and
Yeah.
our love and our pain to help this child. And all of a sudden, he was taken away from us. For a million reasons. But they didn't really explain why.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's an example of anger,
The righteous.
and personal anger.
Yeah.
And to me, if it's not personal, your anger, it's still there, but it's more remote. So you don't probably, like say for example, when you were really personal with your daughter, right?
Yes.
And the school system.
Yes, absolutely.
But say for example, when we want to change our government, for example, or in some other country's government, that anger, that criticism, they're sort of connected, but it's pretty remote.
Yes.
Because it's not very personal. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that's part of being a human being. But I just want to explain the difference.
Yes.
Or articulate the difference.
Well, thank you. I just want to say our station ID. You are listening to 90.1 FM, WEFT Champaign. This is the Thursday morning menu, soulful music, news, and commentary that makes your soul full. And I am Renee Angela, sitting here with David Wolf. The views and opinions expressed here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of WEFT Board of Directors, Associate Station Manager, or Prairie Air Incorporated. We are getting into the crux of anger, and I'm just so excited about having David in here discussing this because I don't think it gets discussed enough. And as I have said before around the top of the hour, you know, right now, globally, it seems as we're kind of in this angry state, you know, with the shootings in Nevada, and then they found the Massachusetts teacher slain by a 14-year-old who is getting ready to be tried as an adult. And so, you know, at this point, this emotion is very, very high. And if you want to think about it as even Mother Nature with the tsunamis and lots of earthquakes in the last, 10 years or whatever, devastating earthquakes and tsunamis, that we're kind of in the crux of this and not knowing how to handle it healthily or healthy. So what are some kind of healthy ways to regulate or dispel this anger?
That's a great question and a huge question.
Yes. What are some things that you do?
Well, okay. Well, after I cut my finger and sort of cussed at myself in the world, my whole body was telling me I should sit down, I should stop. Working too hard, was stressed,
Yes.
too tired for too long. And I told my supervisor, I just need to quit for now. And I went home. Not too many people can do this, but I do. I've been doing this for years, which makes it kind of easy. I just lie on the floor,
Okay.
like 15 minutes, and as soon as I get my back on the floor, there's all this tension, this incredible tension in the middle of my back, and I'm groaning and growling, and it just feels such a relief. And then I lay there for 10, 15 minutes,
Okay.
and some of that tension goes away. And say, for example, with your spouse, okay, and you're irritated because of the kids or the food or the cleaning, whatever. You could say, I'm really mad, and put a little energy in your, I'm really mad because you said blah, 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 whatever it was, and what you did is blah, blah, blah. Just say that. It's called an I statement, basically.
Okay.
And at some point, and hopefully, well, hopefully your partner will want to listen at least for a minute or two, and then your partner will probably want to
Have a conversation, hopefully.
reciprocate, because probably you're
Yeah, he probably
that person's
irritated
gonna get
too.
mad too, which scares people, because people don't like to fight.
Right.
Well, some people fight a lot anyway, but a lot of people never fight. And it's a fight. I would not want to say fight people. I'm just saying raise your voice. If you have the anger, if you are angry, and find words that'll talk about what's happened in some objective way.
Okay.
But use the word, I'm mad, or I'm frustrated, or I'm scared, or I'm worried, or whatever it is. Use that word, a word something. You choose your own words, of course. But express the emotion and the data, what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point say, well, what I really want for the future, the next time you're upset with my cleaning skills or whatever, or make an offer.
Okay.
I will do this. This is this. You say, for example, I'm really mad because you're always mad at your. Well, see, there I go. I use a word that's makes it not objective. Why don't you use a word like? I did it again. Why don't we use a word like always or never?
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we're not objective.
Right. Because we're
Let's
kind of
see.
putting it in this limited
Right.
space.
So anyway, so
So be objective.
do your best. Practice,
Yeah.
practice, because you're only going to get better at it. It's not easy to
So,
be objective,
if
but
it-
also be subjective. I'm angry.
Right.
There's no objective reason. It doesn't matter why you're angry. You're angry, but say it and let some of that come out of your body with your voice.
Mm-hmm. So let it
You know,
kind of fill up in your lungs and actually use the words with the feeling, I guess.
Use your breath.
Yeah,
Use
that
your
breath.
voice box, and that when you use some energy with your voice,
Mhm.
your chest vibrates a little bit,
Yes.
and that makes a lot
It
of
does.
a little bit of tension on all these muscles where we breathe and where we get tight and stuff in our shoulders and our chest. Some of it begins to let go a little bit.
Okay.
And breathing, always
Breathe.
breathe,
Yes.
breathe.
Yes. Remember that spirit is actually means breath. So if you want to get that.
Inspire and exhale.
Yes.
Exhale.
It's
inhale.
right. I love that. I love when you say that. The inspire and expire. Inhale and exhale. That's right. Waiting to exhale is not just for the movie.
We're out of time. You're watching.
Yeah, we're almost out of time, so I want to get into your emo mix. First of all, I just love that name. How did you even come up with this emo mix?
I've been looking for the right word for years, and I'm not sure if it's totally right anyway. Emo is emotion,
Yes.
and mix is to mix it in with all of our other energies. Usually we think about our thoughts, we put our energy in our thoughts. We don't pay attention that much of our emotions, or we
Yes.
judge our emotions. So I should not feel love.
Right.
And we also have images in our minds that we don't usually pay attention to our bodies when we're think.
Yes.
So emo mix is to bring the emotions and the other, I call them the ingredients of internal experience, to bring them more together. They'll all be more aware of each other.
Yes.
Use your body. Anyway, so the class is actually having fun. Use your whole body. Walk around the room,
Okay.
and then following and leading and all those different things. And
So you have it broken up in like 3 segments. So the first segment is just
what
kind
a
of.
memory you have.
Yes, I do. I remember because I'm definitely planning on joining in. So I know the first segment is kind of the movement,
Physical
and
movement.
the physical movement.
Talking and listening.
Yes, and then the second segment is
It's a discussion about stress.
okay.
And whether it's emotions or different thoughts or life situations that you're having, that if people want to talk about things that are personal,
Mhm.
or we can talk about the ideas about
Yes.
emotions and anger and how they affect our bodies and stuff. And in the second segment, it's also little exercises about how to express and let go of some of the tensions and free some of the emotional energy,
Yes.
if people want to. If they don't, then we'll just talk.
Okay. So it's very open. Where do you hold these emo mix?
Let me go
Oh,
back. And the third segment, the last
Yeah.
segment, is physical body stuff again. So it's the first and the third sections are actually meant to be fun. And they're usually quite a bit of laughter and physical movement.
Well, yeah, because now you're releasing those energies.
And if you want to
That's
thrash,
precious.
if you want to thrash, you might have to bring your own music.
Yeah, we'll bring out some loud, heavy metal rock. That's right. So we can thrash, y'all. And then the breakdancing music. With the little cardboard you can spin on. I am really telling my age now. But that's okay. That's what I remember. And my parents are looking like, what the heck is wrong with you people? But and so, but yeah, so that's a wonderful emo mix. It's body integration. You call
Body,
it.
mind,
Yes,
integration.
body mind integration. So that is wonderful. Emo mix class is on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesdays, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And where is it being held at?
At the Channing Murray Foundation, which is a little old church on the University of campus, at the corner of Oregon and Matthews.
Corner of
1209 West
Oregon.
Oregon?
Yeah, I think so.
West
Yes,
Oregon.
West
Or
Oregon.
Map.
Yes. So the corner of Oregon. Okay, say that one more again. Corner of Oregon and Matthews. Yes. And what time do you usually start?
6:30.
6:30 to
Well, sometimes it's 2 hours, sometimes it's 1 hour, depending on how many people come and what they want to do.
And the next date is
2 weeks from yesterday, which would
so. Oh, don't have a
be
calendar.
November.
7th, maybe?
That sounds right. Where's my pad?
Yes, I think so. I got my phone. I'm looking at my calendar. Yes, November 7th is the next. Oh darn, I'm gonna be out of town. Or November 6th, sorry. So 2 weeks from yesterday. November 6th is the next segment of the Emo Mix class at 6:30, Channing Murray Foundation Center on campus. And yeah, I'm gonna be out of town, unfortunately. I'm going to California.
Oh,
Well, not unfortunately. That's a good thing for me, but so I'll have to make the other one in November.
November 20th.
Yes, November 20th then. So those are the
Oh,
next two.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, no. Wait, hold up. November 6th is one. And,
Actually, no, the 13th.
okay, November 6th and the 13th, or the 13th is the first one.
The 13th is the next one.
Okay, so November 6th and November 13th, Emo Mix with David Wolf at the Channing Murray Foundation, 6:30 p.m. And how would they contact you if they wanted to get more
Call me.
information?
Can I leave my phone number?
Absolutely.
217-766-6625.
All right. Well, David Wolf, thank you so very much for coming in and joining us to talk about anger. We'll have to come in and have you back and talk about some more subjects. I like your mind. So we're going to have you come in and talk, Phil. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renee, Angela.
Thank you. So you are listening to 90.1 FM, WEFT Champaign. This is your girl, Renee Angela.